Hello my beautiful people of the world, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, but probably welcome. If you are new here, thank you for joining. We talk about all things conspiracies, spooking, chilling, unsolved mysteries on this channel. If you are not new here, thank you for joining as always, I appreciate you so much. We like to cut right to the chase on this channel, so let's dive into it, because today we're going to be talking about two murders that happened on the same date with the same fate, but 157 years apart. Today, we are going to be talking about the Erdington murders. So yes, the Erdington murders took place 157 years apart, but they happened basically the exact same way. Now this happened in a suburb called Erdington in Birmingham, UK. And our first case actually goes all the way back to 1817. The first victim's name is Mary Ashford, and she was 20 years old, and she was a factory worker in Erdington. But on May 26th is when everything happened. Mary had spent a part of her day visiting her friends and preparing for an evening celebration. That night, she attended a dance in a nearby village, and witnesses really described nothing wrong, that she seemed cheerful and in a good mood. But during the festivities, she met 24-year-old Abraham Thornton, and they spent most of the evening together through the event that ended early morning the next day on the 27th. And several witnesses reported them walking and leaving the event together. And this unfortunately was one of the final sightings that she was seen alive. So early the next morning, a lot of people began to notice something strange. Mary had never returned home, and a search began for her, and soon her body was discovered in a water-filled pit. Now obviously this was very shocking to many people, and investigators actually saw signs that she had probably been sexually assaulted before her death, and the evidence towards her death ultimately pointed towards drowning. Now naturally, suspicion immediately fell to Abraham Thornton because he was the last person she was seen alive with, and he was arrested and charged with the murder. Unfortunately, this trial became one of the most known criminal cases in England because obviously the prosecution argued that Thornton had killed Mary, attacked her, but the evidence just wasn't strong enough. Of course, this almost comes back to a he said, she said situation because Thornton claimed that they had consensual relations and that he had left her alive. And because there was no clear witnesses of what actually happened and what forensic standards and technology they had back then, this left plenty of room for doubt, and unfortunately the jury found him not guilty. Now what's interesting is Mary's brother actually tried to use an old legal process known as an appeal of murder. However, Thornton responded with an even older legal trial, which was trial by combat. Yes, physically fighting it out. But Mary's brother declined this, and without the challenge, the case collapsed and Thornton walked free forever. And now Mary's murder has unfortunately remained unsolved. But now the strange part, let's fast forward 157 years to 1974. The location, Erdington. The victim, 20 years old, and her name was Barbara Forrest. And just like Mary, Barbara was enjoying a night out. And just like Mary, on May 26th, she attended a dance where she spent a night out with friends, and once again, friends recalled her being joyous, seemed happy, cheerful, enjoying herself. And at the end of the night, Barbara disappeared, and her body was discovered the following day on May 27th. And obviously, the similarities of these cases, it became almost impossible to ignore. Police launched a major investigation, and eventually, suspicion led to a man named Michael Thornton. More than a century and a half after Abraham Thornton had been accused, another Thornton was accused in Erdington for a murder. And Michael Thornton was a co-worker of Barbara's. Michael Thornton was arrested and charged, and the case proceeded to trial, but just like Abraham, Michael Thornton was acquitted. The jury did not find enough evidence to convict him. And once again, the murder has remained unsolved. Now obviously these cases have become so eerie because of all the similarities. Both the victims were 20 years old, both lived in the Erdington area, and their bodies were found very close to each other. In fact, only 300 yards apart. Both victims also spent the evening dancing before their deaths, and both died and were found on May 27th. And both suspects also had the last name Thornton. Both of them were tried, and both of them were acquitted. And both murders officially remain unsolved. Now obviously, people have tried to explain this. How does this happen exactly the same way? with similar people at the same time, even though it was 157 years later. Now, obviously, a lot of people are just gonna say it's pure coincidence. There have been a countless number of murders throughout history, and given enough cases, bizarre patterns, coincidences, they're bound to happen. But some people tend to think maybe it was something a little stranger. Some say it was fate, destiny, reincarnation, or even some paranormal connections. Obviously, there's no supporting evidence of any of these ideas, but the similarities are unusual enough that the theories remain and new theories arise. So today, unfortunately, both of these cases remain unsolved, and being that these coincidences are so unlikely, it continues to fascinate people around the world. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think they're completely unrelated, pure coincidence, or do you think maybe it's something a little stranger and more chilling? Alright you guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It is free, it helps me out so much. And if later you decide that you don't like my videos anymore, you can unsubscribe and I'm not going to be offended. But if you enjoy strange mysteries, unsolved cases, crimes, and conspiracies, then be sure to follow along. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!